In the 2016 general election, President Trump won 5 of the 6 states that have election contests tonight, with Washington state being the only one to vote Democrat.
For more on tonight's results and how they may shape this year's general election, we are joined by President Trump's son, Eric. Thanks for coming back.
It's great to be with you guys.
So as you look to tonight, what do you see? What do you look at?
Listen, I think Biden's going to have a really good night. I think the numbers are showing that he's going to have a good night. He has all the momentum right now. I don't think Biden's campaign wants him out front and center. Every single day he's making another gaffe. Today he got in a fight with a bunch of union workers in Michigan that was ugly. He was talking about AR-14s. I mean, he literally can't get on the stand anywhere and not make a serious gaffe that's embarrassing to the campaign. So
some people thought he looked good in that moment, that he looked strong and feisty.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think you look strong and fiery when you're insulting the people that you're trying to get vote for you. I mean, he was in Pennsylvania. He called one of the voters fat, right? I mean, he's there and he's yelling at construction workers who are asking a basic question about their platform, right? Are you pro the Second Amendment or are you not? He's saying he's pro the Second Amendment, yet he's saying that Beto O'Rourke is going to be his gun czar who's going to confiscate every single AR-15 off the street. And so I just don't see it. At the same time, I think you have Bernie, who's probably not going to do well, but really wants to get to the debate because I think he wants to be on the same stage with this guy to exploit the weakness. And I don't know what's going on with Biden, but it's not looking good. There's something off there. And how many gaffes can you make every single day? If the roles were reversed, if my father were making the same gaffes as he was, they would literally invoke Article 25 of they would try and remove him from office. But for some reason, they think it's cute. Media gives him a total pass for it. And it makes me wonder.
So are you concerned about the coronavirus in its impact not only on the economy, but in the politics sense about your father's campaign?
Well, you know, I think they're doing everything they can to try and politicize it. It's kind of interesting. You go back and you look at swine flu and you look at MERS and you look at the avian bird flu that was a number of years ago, and you look at Ebola and you look at Zika. I mean, literally every 2 years, I was kind of researching it today. I kind of found it fascinating, but just about every 2 years you have another pandemic, and you have people freak out. And, I think the media is pushing, I think the administration is doing an unbelievable job. They are focused on it. Every, day you see another press conference. Every single day you see new efforts by the CDC. And, the one thing that the media is not talking about is actually my father's policies from the very, very beginning when he came down that escalator. Let's have security at our borders. Let's know who's coming into this country. Let's make sure that we don't just have unfettered immigration of anybody in the world. Let's make sure that we bring manufacturing back to this country so that we can supply face masks and we can supply Purell hand sanitizer and all the other stuff that's made in China and all over the world, so that when you face a situation like this, you're actually prepared. In fact, I don't think my father's narrative about having a safe country, strong borders, domestic manufacturing have ever been stronger than it is right now when you see what's happening around this country.
Let's take a look at a montage of comparisons that were made in the media to Katrina and sort of the speculation about what kind of political impact this could potentially have on the presidential race. Let's watch.
This may be Donald Trump's Katrina.
This is the worst case scenario that you get from a government that doesn't know what they're doing and is willing to lie to the people about things that will keep them alive.
Republicans like to say we have small government, we only want small government. Well, this is what government does, or no government, a lot of people say. Mm-hmm. This is exactly the function of government, and our government is screwing up.
It's amazing. I watched Gavin Newsom today, and for all the things that I don't like about him, he came out and he said the administration, obviously governor of California, he said the administration is doing a phenomenal job. Everything I asked for, everything that we needed, everything we requested was given to us immediately. Every promise they made, they came through right away. And then you have talking heads who have never been in crisis management mode ever before, right? And they're second guessing him because they hate his guts. No matter what he did, if he solved Corona tomorrow, Whoopi Goldberg would be attacking my father. Same with Rachel Maddow. No matter what he did, he could cure cancer tomorrow, and they'd say it wasn't fast enough. And it's actually sad, and I do give a lot of credit to the people who have come out, who are on the opposite side of the aisle, and say, you know what, the Trump administration has done a damn good job, and they have. And I can tell you, my father is focused on this. The vice president is focused on this. This is our highest priority, and people are trying to politicize it for political gain. And it's actually sad.
Yeah,
it's sad. It frightens the country.
In a place like Michigan, as you look to the general election, if the economy, we don't know where it's going to be by the time you get to November. And obviously your father and the administration are trying to do things to to stimulate it. But a place like Michigan, that could make a difference where the economy is.
You know, but everybody starts talking about, the economy. And first of all, we had an unbelievable today. It went back up, 1,200 points, and I think you're going to see a skyrocket back up over the next month or 2 months. We'll see. But we brought 273,000 jobs in the month of February, right? $100,000 jobs over what they predicted. My father's economy is at 3.5% unemployment, the lowest in the history of this nation. More manufacturing jobs have been created in Michigan than just about every state. I mean, it's unbelievable. Auto manufacturers are going back to Michigan for the first time. My father has a great story to tell, not just in Michigan, but in Pennsylvania and Ohio. Quite frankly, in all the swing states, this country is booming like never before. And obviously people are scared of a virus, and frankly, in a certain way, they should be, right? And I think you're going to recover from this from the stock market perspective pretty quickly. But look at the underlying fundamentals to our economy, right? When have they ever been stronger? You had 3% wage growth this year. Name a single year during the Obama administration that you had 3% wage growth. It didn't exist. We had an economy that was totally stagnant. We had an economy that wasn't growing. We had companies that were leaving our shores. Now they're all coming back, and everybody wants to be in America. And we have the hottest economy in the world, and we're able to weather exactly what we're going through right now, which was not caused by the United States, it was caused by China. We're able to weather exactly what we are right now because my father built an incredibly strong economy. Let me just ask you one
quick question on the way out here. Do you see a change in the way he's looking at it? Is he becoming more concerned that it might impact more people than we originally thought once we do get these tests really out there?
I think my father's always taken he's a pragmatic guy, and he's always taken a very pragmatic approach. Listen, he shut the borders on day one. He took incredible criticism from the very same people you just showed, the Whoopi Goldbergs and everybody else, the Rachel Maddows, for closing the borders to protect Americans from getting this virus. And then all of a sudden they're saying he's not doing, I mean, no matter what he does, he can't win, but he's always taken it very seriously, and they're going to solve the problem, and, they're going to deal with it. And I don't think anybody in the world could do a better job than he can.
Eric, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being here.